You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by Referral Mortgages and Blue Panda Realty, with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate in our nation's capital.
Yep. We're back again. It's the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Here we are. We are here to talk about mortgages, real estate, whatever else we want to talk about. My name is Paul Stevenson. I'm here as always with Greg Campbell and David Warren. I am one of the owners and a mortgage agent at Referral Mortgages. David is also an owner and a mortgage agent at Referral Mortgages. And Greg Campbell, aka Big Stuff, aka many other things, wizard, magician,
I
the
like
man, partner, realtor, Blue Panda Realty. Gentlemen,
all right.
how we doing? How's the week? How's the weekend?
Great. Weekend was okay. Week was good. Market's crazy. I don't know what else to say. David?
Last week was pretty terrible on the work wise. There was a lot of frigged up deals and things going sideways. Clients suing their own deal at the lawyers. It was very stressful.
Really?
Yeah. Hopefully those get resolved today.
And was a lot of that based on just multiple offers or just silly?
No, nothing to do with that. Just stupidity.
Just bad.
Just stupidity is what it was. Yeah.
It was about everything that we talk about that we tell people not to do.
Yes, pretty well.
So I've referenced last week's episode. I must have referenced at least 10 times in my conversations last week, just because of all the stats you gave, Greg. Everyone's asking what's happening with home prices. What's going on? Is the market about to crash? Are we buzzing? There's a lot of talk and a lot of murmurs. We're here to set the record straight. That's what we do here at OREB.
We set the record straight.
Set the record straight every week. We tell you when to buy, when to sell.
You know what I like though? I do like that we're getting a lot, like the comments are increasing week over week, and so are the views. And it means that a lot of people are really active and paying attention to what's going on in Ottawa. And it's exciting to see that we're recognized as a knowledge base, I guess.
A resource
for what's happening. Yeah, as a resource. I had a few private messages from people talking about greed.
Oh yeah.
How everyone's greedy and the agents are greedy and everything. And I'm like, and I just tell them, you guys can blame, the government for that. I go, no one's really greedy. We're just doing what we're supposed to do and doing what we in guiding our clients in the best way that we can for their situation,
Yeah, I would say
it's really interesting.
If there was
a lot of people hate the industry and feel like they've been like snuffed out or something. Like they can't be involved.
Yeah, if you could set your own fees, if realtors were charging 20% to sell a home, and it was a market like this where you have no choice, you have to use a realtor and you have to pay this price, but it's not like the cost is the same. There's actually less homes, so it's actually harder for realtors to do their job right now because there's 4,000 realtors and 600 homes or 700 homes. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job at all. It's a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of many hours that go into each individual client and each individual file. And anyone who's talking about, like you said, Greg, people being greedy. It's like what?
So people think it's a cash cow. It's hilarious. The job is so difficult.
Yeah.
It's very stressful. I laugh, but it's very stressful.
Of those 4,000 realtors, people forget that it's only a few that actually perform. Of that 4,000, it's a massive subset that are having to have other part-time jobs or really only doing a few transactions a year. But I know it's been definitely a crazy start to the year. I know we talked about some of the stats last week, Greg, that you were going over. I doubt anything's really improved this week.
No, let's get into a quick update, and then we'll bring in our special guest.
Yes.
So
yes, the guest.
What's there first? Is that Barrhaven up top?
Barrhaven. Yeah.
Steven. Okay. So Barrhaven, let's get into that. This is just a quick breakdown again for anyone that missed last week. I'm just doing a update on townhome stats for Barrhaven, and I added Riverside South to this too. Actually, you don't see it on there. Barrhaven, Riverside South, Canada, Stittsville, and then Orleans. So in Barrhaven right now, as of last week, we have 12 actives between 500 and 760K. Again, I want to remember that these low listing numbers, some of them are, just not where they should be. We had 5 sold Average list price was 618. Average sale price was 755. Average days on market 4. Now, a lot of this, the 4 days on market, especially, what we did see was a lot of people were still posting up offers accepted, but we'll look at preemptives. So there was a ton of preemptive offers last week that ended up in multiples and went. But I believe now that that's probably going to go away because everyone realizes that there's enough buyers out there looking that they can wait till the actual offer day and get more, like potentially more money for their seller instead of taking a preemptive. But we'll see.
This is for the week, correct?
This is for the week. This is for the week. Yeah, last Monday to this Monday. Let's go to the next one. What do we have?
Canada Stittsville.
So Canada Stittsville, 6 active between 685K and 730K. 11 sold in the last week. Average list price 671. Average sale price 764. Average days on market 11. So I mean, it's different. Yeah. Part of that could be of, anyways. The 764 is up from last week. We see where this is going. I want to mention that there was one sale in Canada last week, which blew my mind. Let's, I'm just going to bring this up here. So it was Petra Private. Petra is like, they're 3-story. They're really big 3-story homes in Canada Lakes. There was one listed for $829. It was a row unit. Excuse me, sold for $1.2 million. Excuse me. And we've talked about it like a lot on the show. I don't know how that's going to appraise. Like that's cash. That's a cash buyer. There's no other way around it.
It's not appraising.
No, it's not appraising at all. Anyways, let's go on to the next one. We got Orleans. 9 are active between 475, 710K. Again, the low price. We know what that's there for. 7 sold. Average list price 600. Average sales price was 658. So we do see that Orleans again is at the lower end, more bang for the buck. If people are shopping and they're out of the market in Canada, they might want to come and look in Orleans, Canada Stittsville. But then, of course, that'll drive the prices up in Orleans, as we know. Another comment that I want to mention is Barhaven. I forgot about this one. There was a big one on the weekend, or actually, I think it was. Yeah, I guess it was the weekend. I never know anymore. These things are just moving so fast. I feel like last week was okay. Well, Cooks Mills. So 769 sold for 899. 3-bedroom and unit row town, 4-bath, nice. But I mean, 900,000. So we're getting into these silly numbers here again. And it's just a matter of where do we go? We got to hope that more properties come out on the market, especially after we see what happens with the interest rates tomorrow. So
prediction when it hits $1 million. When do townhomes hit $1 million?
When it hits $1 million, right?
What's the prediction on that? How much time?
How much time until more homes come out?
No, till they hit $1 million.
Till they hit $1 million.
Till the towns hit $1 million. I mean,
let's say next February.
Never. I hope never.
Next February.
I mean,
so
ridiculous.
Quick update. Oxford Mills, Dave, that house that you were talking about, sold for $150,000 over asking.
Yeah,
155
last week. Over.
I know we said we were going to give an update. So anyone who's listening, Oxford Mills, we said it was 92 showings, went for $150,000 over asking price.
12 offers.
So,
12 offers. The person that bought it was not from Ottawa.
Yeah.
They're Peter.
And I was just speaking with a client on my drive to get to the studio here in my house. I was talking to her this morning, and she's buying a new build Manatic. Doesn't close till next May. And the list price is essentially 1.1 in Manatic for a new build that she won in a lottery.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, okay, let's get to it. Yeah, that's insane. I mean, the prices, and again, this goes back. She asked me at the very end of the call, like, where do you think home prices are going to come down? Off record. I said, well, I'll say it on record because I do it every week. I don't think home prices are coming down at all anytime soon, at least. And I know we keep saying that, but Greg, maybe if we had another expert here that we could talk to about this.
We have somebody. We have a very special guest. It just so happens. That we have somebody here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to announce a special guest on the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast today. We have Penny Torontow, who is the current president of the Ottawa Real Estate Board. She has been a licensed realtor, broker since 2003. Before that, she was in the new home build business And she's been on almost every committee at the Ottawa Real Estate Board. So I think we have a very knowledgeable expert with us today. So let's bring her in. Stephen Hopkins. Yes. All right, Penny.
Hi guys, thanks a lot. I hope I live up to that introduction. So, I thought we were coming on here to talk about the NFL championship.
But I guess the best weekend in football ever. Yeah. Welcome, Penny.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's great being here.
So, Penny, I mean, I guess I did the intro. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
First of all, you guys, you got to start adding like core areas into your statistics here. There's lots of neighborhoods in the center of the city they're doing incredibly well. But just talking about your townhomes there, I showed a property yesterday. It overlooks the river in Britannia, and it's a townhome, and it's completely dated. The whole thing needs to be renoed, and they're asking 1.2 million.
Whoa! What's the address on that one?
It's 206 Kehoe.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna check.
I used to live in Britannia Village. I know that street very well.
Yeah, and it's
Kehoe's a great spot.
And you just there's just no rhyme, no reason. Like you just can't, you just
throw it up and see what happens.
We'll see what they get, and they're holding off offers, so it'll be very interesting to see what that property gets.
Oh yeah, this is Todd's, right? Yeah, okay. I saw them posted.
So on that note, Penny, where do you heard us talking about the different areas and this past week's prices, list to sell prices. Where are you seeing? I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum. The three of us, be interested to see what your thoughts are on the market right now in Ottawa and where you're kind of seeing it move over the coming months.
Well, and I'm pretty active in the field, and I've been involved in like every deal we've been doing, whether it's on the buying side or the selling side, is in multiple offers. It kind of went crazy. Like December, I thought had kind of gotten a bit quiet. And now January seems like it's just back to the way it was. Mm-hmm. I sold one in Craig Henry. It was listed at $899. It sold for $1.1 million, and it was on a through street in Craig Henry. But it was a nice property with a pool. But I don't even think the sellers were expecting to get that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So every property I've been in has been on in multiple offers. Even in the country, I'm showing properties in the country. And they're all going way over, they're having, some of them are having 10 to 15 offers, no matter where you are.
Penny, did you know about that property out in Oxford Mills? Like, had you heard of that? I know it's outside the Ottawa core, but.
No, I hadn't heard about that one.
So, we talk about this many times, but, there's all this the three of us, and I'm sure you're asked all the time too, like, when is the market going to correct itself? When's it going to balance out? Like, do you think that the market is unbalanced? And if so, like, what has to happen either through government intervention or through listings? Like, what has to happen to get back to a balanced market, in your opinion?
Okay, so that's a great question. So first of all, because I was been on a lot of committees, I've been in a lot of, whether it's meetings or whatever, people behind the scenes. So I remember last year being in a meeting with CMHC, and CMHC was saying that, this supply problem, didn't just start in the last couple of years. They said the cities should have seen it coming, starting in 2015. Mm-hmm. And it's simple economics. It's a supply problem. So what has to happen is a good question, because I don't even think we're actually seeing reality at the moment because of the pandemic. Things are, immigration's not happening the way it would be happening normally. People are still at home, but the municipalities have to work together with the cities and the provinces to make it easier to do something about development fees, to make it easier to build infills, to make it easier, these single detached home neighborhoods where they're so adamant about not having other types of residents, like townhomes or semi-detached. That has to be curbed. Mm-hmm. There has to be a way to allow people to build more houses on the properties that we currently have, because there's just too much. I'll give you some interesting statistics if you want to know. That I was at the Ottawa Economic Summit, just about the downtown core, which kind of blew my mind, when you think about it. So I went to the Ottawa Economic Outlook. It was like about a month ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they had Michael Gregory there, who is the chief economist of BMO. Mm-hmm. And they had this other woman there, Mary Rowe, who was from the Canadian Urban Institute. Okay, so just some interesting numbers to do with the GDP. Okay, so we know inflation's hovering around 4.5%. And I think that's pretty standard right now. I think that's a pretty acceptable number.
Yeah.
There's 4,000 technical jobs being advertised. There's an extreme shortage of high-tech workers. And I was talking to a client here in Ottawa. So he was telling me that they're offering $1,000 to their employees for a referral for an interview. He said then they were offering $5,000 for a hire. And he said his company alone was looking for 100 people. He said that was just the tip of the iceberg. He told me there was the high-tech companies, he said, are so short of employees that they're starting to, now they're paying the referral fees just for the interview.
That's wild.
So we haven't seen that coming in, like we haven't seen that influx of people yet, right? So they said 10% of the GDP has been saved by Canadians. So 10%. So they said there's billions and billions of dollars in savings. In Canadians have billions of dollars of savings. And so then he said, of course, the only thing that can solve this is the interest rates going up, which that's debatable. To me, if the interest rates going up, all you're doing is hurting the people who are trying to get into the market. All you're hurting are those same people who are struggling to get into the market, because the people on the higher end side, what's 0.25% going to do to them? What's 0.5% going to do to them?
Well, and those are probably the people with the billions in the savings too, right? So if rates go up, it only segments the market even further, so that only those people can now buy homes, right?
Exactly. So but it's something interesting numbers about Ottawa's core, though, which is kind of actually I think we all kind of guffawed when we heard this.
Right.
So most downtowns create 15% of the GDP for a local economy. They house 4% of the residents. They have 17% of the jobs, and they cover 0.2% of the land area, which I thought these numbers were really interesting. So in Ottawa, it covers 0.3% of the land area. It's 24% of the jobs, and it's responsible for 22% of our GDP. Okay, and 40% of the space downtown is leased by the federal government. And the foot traffic is down by 73% in the downtown core. And the office vacancy is 10.5%. So it was a very interesting conversation about having to restore the core. Because
absolutely,
everybody's sitting at home working, right? We're very fortunate in Ottawa. Most people are, we're highly employed here. But we've got to create more supply. Like, I don't know, they've got to work with, they've got to work with the builders. They all have to work together. They all have to work in tandem, whether it's creating incentives for people to build, whether it's, easing the restrictions. I mean, I hear some horror stories about people trying to build something, just say, say an infill, and that you don't get approved because your bike lane's not wide enough. These kind of things have to be, we have to work on these things together to make it easier.
The restrictions the city has for development are pretty ludicrous. I was speaking with a developer client of mine 2 weeks ago. We were looking at 33 acres in Carp to develop on, and the city said, you can't do anything with this. It was wanting to build a mixture of rentals. So, 6 to 12 unit building rentals, row homes, on this 33 acres, basically maximize as much as possible. And that's out in Carp. They won't let you develop on the land, period. Do anything with it. So we've got people that are trying to also develop and build. And with that, there's nothing else nearby. There's some estate homes that are on 3 acre lots beside, but they don't want anything even on 3 acre parcels. They even want to sever it to 10 homes. Things like that. The clients of mine that build that do infills, whether it be multi-residential or anything, when you got $20,000 in development fees alone, plus cash in lieu of parkland, plus your permit fees, they build building a 4-unit in Rockland, and it's $80,000 in development fees on their own before getting into permits, before getting into anything else. It's wild.
Yeah, all those things have to be, all those things have to be worked on. Listen, there's another aspect to the supply chain too here, and when it comes to inventory of homes, there's a huge demand for in-law suites, secondary suites. When I was selling new homes, way back when, I told the builder at that time, I said, if somebody would build a house with a secondary unit attached, say 800 to 1,000 square feet, not in your home. They don't want to turn your living room into a home. They need a private dwelling, but you can be close to them. So we did a Nanos. We got Nanos involved, and the Real Estate Board with the Government Community Relations Committee, and they conducted a poll between residents and realtors. And I kept saying that there's a huge demand for this. Where Nepean's the second largest retirement community next to Victoria. And so I used to say way back when, there's a huge, and people would combine they would combine two homes to do this. So they would sell two homes to get a home like this. And anyways, the statistics were overwhelming. It was like 34% of people, in the sandwich generation, who are taking care of parents and still have kids, were concerned about where their parents are going to go in the next 5 years. It was actually overwhelming. I was actually surprised. I knew I was going to prove the point. I didn't think it was going to be proven that strongly. And so people said and especially with the pandemic, because now people are more concerned with what came out, with our homes, with our seniors' homes. Now people are afraid to put their parents, in a seniors' home if they can avoid it. So there's a huge opportunity there for somebody to build the types of properties that this city needs. The idea is not to just build properties.
Yeah.
The idea is to make sure you're building the properties that is in demand.
Well, I'll tell you, we've certainly seen a big uptick, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. If you're seeing it, I'm certainly seeing way more files where people are adding in brothers, sisters, parents, and not because they need the income, but because they're actually going to be living together. Like they're buying the house together to live in, like families, brothers and sisters with their spouses, with their kids, or with the in-law suite, like you said, or they're buying a place planning to convert the bottom, the basement into a dwelling for their parents. That's happening way more in the last 2 years for sure. There's been an uptick. It might not be, doubling, but there's certainly I'm seeing it way more than I would have previously.
Listen, we have a handful of communities here. We have a handful of communities that have adult lifestyle bungalows. So not everybody's ready to go into a condo right away. Not everybody's ready. They still want a little yard. They still want a garden. They still want to, putter around, their garage or whatever. But we only have a handful of those. And some of them are, placed right in the middle of their family neighborhoods. And that's not that's not the type of thing I'm referring to, right? But the thing is to make sure that we're building what is in need and not just building for the sake of building or building just for profit. The idea is to build what's in demand.
Well, and Dave, we've talked about this as well, Penny, but there's that new, the development on Preston. Is it Soho, Dave? The one that it's all rentals
Soho
now?
Italia. Yeah.
So they were originally building it as owner occupied, and then they got 100% financing and decided, well, let's actually make these all rentals. So now this whole building is being converted to rentals when those could easily be, they were originally purposed to be condos, right? So
that's a good segue, and a good segue into this morning's numbers, just for info here
For everyone.
So right now there's about 1,500 and some active listings right now in Ottawa. 690 of those are rentals. So do the math, right? There's only about 800 and some houses for sale, and that includes the Rideau, St. Lawrence, that includes Cornwall, that includes our sharing, boards.
Yeah.
So look how many rentals are on the market.
that's a good point, because I think when you said that last week, Greg, I definitely assumed we were talking Cumberland to Canada. I didn't realize we were including all the outskirts as well.
Yeah.
Anything that shows up on the board would be those.
Yeah. So it's more, it's extended. Yeah. And so, and what do you think about the rental prices, Penny? Where do you think that's going to go based on this?
Well, again, I think the rental prices have kind of gone up, proportionately to the, house prices. And I think it's super hard for people to find an affordable rental. Like, when you have rentals starting at usually like 1,700, 1,800, not everybody is in that category. There are people that still need, 1,100, 1,200. There's, and you see the prices of the rentals going up and up and up. And, also when people buy investment properties, of course they're going to try to get as much rent as possible, but they're starting their rents, quite high. But I think the rental market, it will, I think that curbs itself a little quicker than the sales. I think that, people have to take what they get at some point. But I still think it's really difficult for people who are, in a moderate income. I still think it's really difficult to get an affordable rental.
On that point about affordable rentals, I mean, it is a lot of that does come down to, again, that supply side where the governments aren't building enough affordable housing for these individuals. I mean, we've got home prices up and individuals buying a single family rental or a single apartment. They're not going to quell this necessity or this need for affordable housing. That's really the government that needs to create this added supply that they're just not creating that.
I would say as a taxpayer, I would be more than happy to take, some of a large amount of tax that we're paying and allocating it to affordable housing, like true affordable housing where people can, pay, like you said, $1,000 to have a house for them and their kids, as opposed to, literally scraping by and paying $2,000 for a 3-bedroom townhome.
Well, I was at a mayor's breakfast a couple of years ago, and there was the gentleman from CMHC, and now I forget his name. I don't think he's there anymore. And when they keep talking about affordable housing, I said, okay, what is? So I stood up and I said, okay, what do you mean when you say affordable housing? Like, what is that? What does that even mean?
Sounds good.
And the answer I got, good question.
The building that Paul was
we've never really defined it. Like, what does affordable housing mean?
And affordable is different to every.
CMHC, as of right now, has effectively deemed affordable housing in their category for this development that Paul was talking about on Preston, where they converted the So Italia, a Gluckstein design condo from a sale to rentals. They finance it under the CMHC Affordable Housing Construction Program. $90 million, 100% financing, amortized over 50 years at 0% interest. In order to get that, they have to have 30% of their units affordable housing. Affordable housing to them is under 30% under household. The area in hospital and for Little Italy is an average of about $175,000. So the affordable housing rental rate in that building can be $2,800 a month.
Yeah.
That's what they've, they deem it on based on a specific area, not on the city, not on a set amount. So you can, in that building, the rents can be astronomical, and for CMHC, this is satisfactory.
Why not give a tax incentive to individual landlords? Yeah. Why not give tax incentives to landlords who are renting out their properties? Why not instead of taxing them, on the high end? Why don't you incentivize them to lower their rents?
Well, that would mean the government's getting less tax, Penny.
I know. Exactly.
How dare you?
How dare you
suggest that? How dare you suggest that?
Oh man.
That's a great idea, actually.
Canada.
So, we're still early January, Penny. We should bring you back on sometime later in the year too, just to kind of get the later market update. But where do you kind of, we know there's a supply issue. Rates are obviously still currently very affordable. Where do you see things going kind of leading into the spring market? Okay.
So, as we know, typically, the market goes up, but before 2018, the markets were going up, 3 to 7%, annually. And since then, it's been crazy. We're in the 20s, 20 to 25% per year, which I don't believe is sustainable for any length of time. I think our monthly increases will know better, like bring me back in April, because we'll know better how those monthly increases are going. Because right now we don't even know, we don't even have January stats out yet. Mm-hmm. But what I'm seeing right now, just myself, anecdotally, it's still going crazy. So I just don't think it's sustainable. I think And I think, we've got a harsh winter started. I think people might be reluctant to, put their houses for sale right now. But as we get closer now into the spring, I think I'm saying closer to the spring because I'm dreaming that it'll be spring.
You don't like the minus 40?
I'm not a winter person. Right now it's hard to say that it's not going the same because it is. But I don't think the increases will be as drastic. I just don't think it's sustainable.
It would be nice.
See, the numbers will tell the tale, right? I mean, like so far, there's been 550 residential sales in Ottawa, like the last 25 days, and there's been 205 condo sales. Right,
that's definitely down from last year, if I remember correctly.
That's what I was going to say.
So we have
how does that compare to last year? Even where last year it was a wild market because there wasn't enough supply, wasn't it?
So now you're asking me the tough questions, David, because I don't have last year's January statistics.
I feel like it was Greg mentioned it last week, but I think it was like 1,200 sales or something in January for single family. It was something along those lines. I remember it being almost double last January.
Maybe I can't remember.
Like prices, I think it's down around 50. I think it's down about 50%. And last January.
There's another week to go. To go. So lots can happen in a week. So there's another week to go. So, but so far, those are the numbers so far.
Warm weekend. People are going to be out shopping, Restrictions are coming up.
We did have a bad week last week with the weather. So that could have put a little bit of a brakes on a few people.
Restrictions are supposed to be lifted on the 31st too. So that'll hopefully, people be out and about, we'll see. I think we'll see some
restrictions. We've got restrictions potentially being lifted, and then we got the rate changes apparently happening tomorrow. So, I mean, I think after that,
26 is the announcement. So Wednesday.
Oh, sorry.
So tomorrow, Wednesday. I guess if you're listening to this, yes, tomorrow.
Yeah, true. So I think
do we know what we're
we'll
expecting that rate change to be?
The Bank of Canada I would be shocked if they don't increase prime. Anytime they increase prime, it's at a quarter point at a time. So they'll likely set the tone. This speech that they'll do on the 26th will be set the tone for the remainder of the year of how they foresee them, scheduling rate changes. And they always indicate at the beginning of the year to give the markets also a heads up as far as what they're expecting. Obviously, you got economists everywhere from CIBC today saying that they're expecting, to basically hold, all the way to National Bank saying they think there's going to be 11 increases, which is ludicrous. I think we've talked about it ad nauseam. We think it's going to be, I think it's going to be about 3 to 4, but they always wait, it's a quarter point at a time. They'll typically wait a couple of months, let things stabilize and reevaluate. But this Wednesday's speech will be
imagine prime at 5%.
It just reminds me of when I sold new homes, when I was selling new homes in the like late 90s, early 2000s, and the rates were hovering around 5%. And at that time, they were considered really good, right? Everybody was freaking out that they were 5%. And I'll never forget the mortgage, the representatives from the banks would come in and visit me. And I'll never forget, one of them coming in and saying, "Oh my gosh, Penny, you got to get everybody to buy right now because they are going to get these rates back up within a year to like 10, 11%. He said, so you better make sure everybody, gets, purchases
Buckle
now.
Up.
But it's so funny because all they did from there was just keep going down. And I just find it, we don't realize how interest rates were at one point so high. And now if it goes below, 3%, people are freaking
Sky's
out
falling.
Because they think that, when money is so cheap.
So to give you an idea, right before, February of 2020, prime was at 3.95. We're at 2.45. So even if rates increase, if we get 6 Bank of Canada increases, that would only equal then what we were at February of 2020. And that's the highest, that prime rate of 3.95 was the highest it had been over the last 12 years. So the likelihood of it even topping out at that, in the next year and a half will be pretty unlikely because they're going to have to adjust, give it time, let the economy adjust before increasing again. So, for people that are, worried about prime increase or anything like that, be mindful. Right before the pandemic, we were at 3.95. So even if you're on prime, a lot of the variable rates right now are prime -1, prime -1.1. You're still going to be on a variable rate. You're still going to be at, 2.75, 2.85. If if it actually goes back to the pre-pandemic high of the last 12 years for prime. The rates are still
minor,
exceptionally low, and you would need, we've talked about it before, certainly going variable is your better option as opposed to fixed right now. Fixed, they're topping over 3% now.
What does it take, guys, in Canada? What would it take to have a crash that everybody talks about? They're waiting for the crash. It's going to happen. We're all going to be screwed. What would that look like? Like how would that even happen? Does anyone have like a idea?
I mean, we've kind of shown over the pandemic of they took a lot of lessons from 2008 and the housing crisis there, and instituted a lot of financial, they propped up the economy this past couple of years. They printed money, brought in a lot of stimulus that we even saw shutdowns, complete shutdowns, and our economy grew. I think they've taken a lot from a financial and economic policy standpoint that you would basically need a world war at this point for Canada's job sector to really crash.
And as far as Ottawa goes, like I was saying, I think I kind of, jumped around from topic to topic. But as I was saying before, when I was on a meeting with the people from CMHC, and they were saying that, that's one of the reasons why they weren't doing any appraisals in Ottawa, right, for the couple of years, because they felt that Ottawa was actually correcting. They felt that Ottawa was undervalued for quite a long time. Mm-hmm. So they weren't even doing appraisals. I think now, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but I am seeing more. And I think we are seeing maybe more appraisals now, but we're still seeing a lot of houses not getting appraised. And they said it was because the market in Ottawa had been undervalued for so long.
They're able, in the behind the scenes, anything that's mortgage default insured, so CMHC, Sagen, Canada Guarantee, they try it every property, they auto value them. So right now with the how the market's going and constant increases in prices, the auto valuations are able to they're able to match those values. We are seeing every day get a commitment and it's needing an appraisal. On conventional banks, anything with 20% down or more, they're actually they'll try auto valuing, but most of the time they're wanting an appraisal, especially when it's multiple offers and going significantly over list price. It's triggering appraisals as well to ensure that it can be, that it can be, the value can be met, if you will. But yeah, we've had, Paul and I have had a few last year, our group, and I mean, our brokerage were 38. We had, I want to say maybe 4 that in all of last year of, probably 1,500 deals that didn't appraise. So it's, still a very small subset. You more so get it on refinances where people think their homes are valued way more. People have a misconception on refinances of what their homes are worth because they see, that one sale of a townhome in Canada Lakes go for 1.2. So they instantly think that their house is worth 1.2. And,
we have a townhome.
You need multiple sales at that price to actually be able to, provide the 3 comparables that are needed on that appraisal. Because somebody, wanted to pay gold bars for one property doesn't mean your house is worth that as well. So,
I keep waiting for, like we were talking about like going into the spring market, Penny. I think I keep waiting for some indicator that things are going to balance out, and I just don't see it. Like the things that are causing prices to continue to rise, which is huge supply issues, and just a lot of people migrating into Ottawa, and the city wanting to intensify the population and the growth. Like there's so many people that want to buy here, and there's no supply. So that is like, just no matter what you do, until there is supply, you're going to keep driving prices up because there is money here. Like Dave said, the average household income in Ottawa is the highest in Canada, which means that the prices in Vancouver and Toronto could easily come to Ottawa, in my opinion, because this is where the money is. This is where the people are. This is where people want to be. And there isn't enough homes here. So if there isn't enough homes and there's a lot of people wanting to buy, well, supply and demand says that's going to drive prices up even higher. So I don't think we've seen the top of the market at all, in my opinion. And I think we're going to continue to see it go up until we can get that supply under control. And that's not going to happen until restrictions are lifted. Things are kind of back to normal. People are back in factories. Production's happening again. Supply chains are moving. And that's, we're I'd say we're still months away from that. So going into the spring market,
years.
Years. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm being optimistic. I think that's
definitely 2022, definitely the first half of 2022 for sure. We'll see. But in the meantime, that's why I tell people, not to make this an advertisement, but that's why I tell people to make more than ever now. You need to use a realtor. You need to use someone. You need to have someone out there, on the buying side, and you definitely need to have a professional realtor on the selling side to make sure you get, the maximum dollar and it's done properly. But you definitely need, I see some people, not using realtors to buy. They're just out there shopping on their own. I mean, you got to have a realtor helping you so that you can, be on top of the market.
Navigate the waters.
Yeah. Well, Penny, I mean, thanks so much for being on. We will definitely have you back on for sure.
Thanks for having me. It was great. Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Penny, you should stick around. We're going to do some mood boosts, and I think you'd appreciate them.
Oh,
we end the show. We end the show each week with a couple mood boosters just to get people going for the week.
Tequila shots or what? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, now we're talking Monday morning tequila shots. So I got 4 today. Number 1, did you guys hear about the group of babies that formed a gang? They hang out in their crib. Okay. Number 2, did you hear about the anxious seamstress? She's on pins and needles. Great. not even a chuckle. Okay, I got 2 more. These are decent. I have a broken guitar for sale. No strings attached.
Yeah.
And last but not least, big sale on rowing paddles at my local shop. It's quite an ordeal.
Right. Yeah. Amazing as usual.
So for everyone listening, if you haven't already, subscribe or subscribe.
Comment.
Those are the 2 options.
Subscribe.
One of 2 things, either subscribe or subscribe. Like us, leave a review if you can. As always, the show's available on Spotify, Apple. Apple seems to be the number 1 place for podcast listeners. So shout out to all our Apple peeps, Apple peeps. Quick shout out to North Brew Coffee. If you go to northbrew.ca and use the promo code podcast, you'll get 20% off all of your coffee orders. And 20% of your order does go towards helping the homeless community. So certainly you can get some great coffee and you can do a little good at the same time. We'll be back next week. As always, we air the shows Tuesday at 10 a.m. So be sure to tune in. And as always, like we said, thanks very much for your support. We are nominated for Podcast of the Year with the Ottawa Awards. So please go to Faces Magazine and select the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. We love you.
And feel free to vote for Referral Mortgages as well while you're there. But, it's just another
Mortgage Brokerage of the Year, Referral Mortgages. And actually, if there are any agents that are still listening to this ramble at the end, reach out. We'd love to chat, love to connect. And anyone that is looking to buy or sell, we're here for you. We support you. And thank you for your support. We'll be back next week, everyone.
It's real. It's great. It's so it's intimate. I love it.
Intimate. Great. Thanks a lot, Penny, for being with us. Okay. And Greg and Dave.
Thanks for having me. Okay.
Talk to everyone soon.
Talk to you soon.
See you guys. Bye.
The Ottawa Real Estate Podcast is brought to you by Referral Mortgages, Blue Panda Realty, and Stephen Hopkins Video. Thanks for tuning in, and please remember to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you.